OK，好的，大家好，欢迎来到园林区的直播间，我是本次的活动主持人魔里。那我们园林区呢，作为全球性的 Web3的社区，也希望能够带给大家一些关于下一代互联网的发展趋势和一些非常好的一些生态项目。那么近期的话呢，我们也是策划了 Web3.0的先行者系列活动。那在这里呢，大家不只有可以看到非常著名的一些公链项目啊，比如说今天请到了波卡和 Web3团队，对吧？我们也有依托于不同链的一些生态的开发者和创业者，我们也是希望欢迎大家可以通过我们的平台来进行发声，一起推动 Web3.0世界的发展。那我们本次活动的话呢，也会对全球进行这样一个同步的直播，所以我会在接下来的话也会有中文和英文的这样一个同步的这样一个讲述。Okay. Hey everybody, this is Tim from First Community China. As you know, First Community China is a non-profit Web3 community. And now we are going to have a series of Web3 projects featured on our community. So started with Bill from Webster Foundation. OK，那在上周呢，其实大家最关注的事情莫首次插槽拍卖了。那其实我们在上一期的活动的话也有讲到这一块儿。那最终的话，大家看到阿卡拉凭借价值13亿美金的道腾这样一个担保，成功赢得了波卡的第一次的这样一个插槽拍卖。那首先也是在这里祝贺 Web3基金会以及波卡团队还有阿卡拉团队，这一个确实一个非常值得庆贺的这样一个事情。那在这里再介绍一下 Web3基金会。那 Web3基金会呢，它是由盖维布的博士所创立的。那创立呢是专注于开发、部署和维护我们的 Web3.0。那大家所熟悉的 Polkadot， 对吧？也就是波卡，它其实就是 Web3基金会所资助的这样一个非常明星的这样一个项目。那 Web3基金会呢，它的资源也非常非常的丰富。那并且他们也一直通过一些 grant 的形式，来给予一些非常多的一些项目，给予一些资助啊，资助的范围也非常广泛，会变成了这些基础设施的开发啊，生态系统组件的研究和一些为实现身份或者是供应链组件模块啊这些设计的这些软件。对，那其实到目前为止呢，我们可以看到 Web3基金会它已经资助了遍布全球50多个国家的，已经达到可以说已经超过300多个项目了。对，这是一个非常庞大的数字，但也确实在以自己的这样一个本身来为 Web3.0这样一个生态系统不断的去助力和发展，也产生了非常积极的影响。Okay, we will talk about the Webster Foundation. As you know, Webster Foundation's passion is delivering Web3, a decentralized and fair internet. So users control their own data, identity, and destiny. So Web3 Foundation do offer grants to open source software and development research around, Substrate, Polkadot, and Kasama. So far, they have funded over 300 plus projects, okay, over 50 plus countries worldwide. And now we knew, Akala just win the first Polkadot Parachain auction with 1.3 billion dot, okay, committed. And, it's like over 81K, 81K network stakeholders locked up dot in favor of the DeFi related platform, Akala, okay. So huge congratulations to Webster Foundation, and you guys did a very great work, and huge congratulations to Akala, to Polkadot team. Yeah, you guys did very great work here. OK， 那我们今天呢也是非常有幸请到了我们的 Webster Foundation 的 Education and Community Director 他其实是贝鲁这边呢，他是我们的Web3基金会的教育以及社区的这样一个主要负责人。那他本人呢，其实已经在深耕我们的这样一个区块链行业已经达15年之久了。OK， 那接下来的话，我们就会正式开启今天的活动，然后有备有我们大家分享 Web3基金会如何引领 Web3世界的发展。OK。So, hey guys, yeah, it's our great honor to have Bill Laboon here today. He is a Web3 community and foundation. He is a Webster Foundation, education and community director. So hi, Bill. Yeah, welcome to be here. You may say hi with our audience here, and thank you so much to be here. Yeah, you are actually our very first guest for this series of Web3 project here. So yeah, welcome to be here. You may say hi with our friends online.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm sorry I can't speak Chinese, but I'm happy to be here and discuss all about Polkadot and Web3 and what we're doing.
Okay, great. So now I will stop my screen sharing, and so you can you can start your screen sharing now. Okay.
All right, one moment.
Okay, great. Yep. Okay, pretty clear to
Okay.
see that. Yeah, it's our show time now. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Tim. So my name is Bill Laboon, and today I'm going to discuss Web3 Foundation, where I work here in Zug, Switzerland, and how Polkadot works and how we are bringing the Web3 vision into a reality. So if you want to contact me, please always feel free. I am on Twitter at Bill Laboon, where I publish every day the Polkadot Digest, which explains in a few short tweets what is happening in the world of Polkadot that day. So this can include things like, uh, what's happening in governance, what's happening in staking, what's happening with Parachains, etc. Uh, yes. So first off, let me explain what Web3 Foundation is, how it's different from Parity. So Web3 Foundation uh, is a nonprofit organization here in Switzerland. We are a Swiss, what's called a Stiftung, which is an organization that is meant to bring about a specific goal. And so it's different than a company where you're as a foundation. And we believe in a decentralized internet where users can control their own data, where users can have their own identity, their own destiny, apart from the like centralized solutions that already exist. And so there are a variety of ways in which we do that. The focus, of course, is on blockchain technology, but that does not mean that is the only thing that we do. So if you look through some of the grants that we have provided grants for research, broader cryptographic and zero knowledge research, for specific decentralized and decentralizing technologies, all up and down the tech stack. However, the focus of Web3 Foundation is Polkadot. And Polkadot is mostly developed by Parity, which is a company based in Berlin, Germany, which has 120 employees. They're a software engineering company. Are the developers. One good way of thinking about Web3 is that we do the research, the education, we shepherd the Polkadot network and help bring this vision to a reality from a philosophic perspective, whereas Parity is actually writing the code. Of course, there are other companies that are building Polkadot, people building projects, but also other companies that are building what we call the Polkadot host, the main software. So this includes Soramitsu, which is building Kagome, a C++ implementation of Polkadot, and ChainSafe, which is building a Go version of Polkadot. Uh, and Parity focuses really on Rust, so the Rust version of Polkadot. But at Web3 Foundation, we work on making the specification so that all of these different companies can develop valid working Polkadot nodes. So I've already mentioned Polkadot. What is it? It is a heterogeneous multi-chain that connects and secures blockchains with pooled security and interoperability. So this is, I think, a little complicated. Some of these words are can be a little bit unclear if you're not very technical. So I think that it makes sense to show what is the aim of Polkadot. What are our goals? So the idea of Polkadot is that it is an L0. It is a foundation for other blockchains to be built on top of it. So Polkadot really is unlike most other blockchains out there because it's meant as a way to facilitate others to build blockchains on top of it, not to build directly on Polkadot usually. So it provides a few different benefits. One is interoperability. So this means that blockchains can interact with each other. So if you are running a blockchain A and you want to access something on blockchain B, you can do that through Polkadot. It has pooled security so that when you create a blockchain, a big part of developing a blockchain is understanding how to develop a secure and safe system. However, you reduce or even eliminate many potential security issues by connecting to Polkadot so that any single blockchain is as secure as the system itself. It allows for what are called heterogeneous chains. Heterogeneous is just another word for different or specialized. So different chains have different benefits and drawbacks. Some may have more transactions per second. Some may have different virtual machines that they use for smart contracts. Some may not want smart contracts. Some may use different kinds of governance. There may be other more specialized technical details about how chains differ from each other. But all of these chains can work and live and run in the Polkadot ecosystem. And finally, the last goal of Polkadot is to have a well thought out governance structure so that the system itself can evolve and change based on what the So, unlike most other chains, when you want to make an update to, you need to make sure that the developers agree and they release a new version. In Polkadot, the dot holders actually vote on do we want to upgrade? Do we want to make this change? And we actually can make any change to the network, the rules of the network, how it runs, what needs to be done via voting and voting by the dot holders. So it actually allows us to avoid forks because people can vote on things instead of just trying to figure out who supports them by who supports which fork. So let me explain the basic architecture of Polkadot. There are two main ideas. If you get nothing else from this lecture, I want you to understand the two main ideas in Polkadot. And that is the relay chain and parachains. So the relay chain is a central connecting chain. When people talk about Polkadot, usually what they mean is the Polkadot relay chain. And this relay chain is going to provide economic security and interoperability to a variety of parachains. So these parachains are separate blockchains that run in parallel. They connect to the relay chain and thus can interact with other parachains, but they're developed by various third parties. So if you would like to build your own blockchain, you can build a parachain and get it connected to the relay chain and get all the benefits of interacting with these other chains, as well as the security of being attached to this relay chain. So as we'll discuss a little bit later, not everybody can connect as a parachain, at least immediately, because there are a limited number of slots. And so there is also this idea of a parathread, which is a parachain which connects not consistently, but only connects on a per block basis. Polkadot has a token dot, which has three purposes. So the first is governance. So remember I said that you can vote on any change to the network. You vote with your dot. And all changes to the network must be approved by a majority of the voting dot. So that if you want to upgrade the network or change the number of validators or make any other modification, this will happen through governance, and you will use DOT to vote. You also can stake. So the Polkadot relay chain uses a nominated proof of stake algorithm, which we won't discuss in detail here. It does have some differences from other staking protocols. And in order to become a parachain, you have to bond DOT tokens. Okay? DOT is also used for interactions and inter-parachain communications. So they pay their fees in DOT as well. So what is the benefit to being a parachain? Why don't you just go off and be your own chain? And there are a few that I've already mentioned here, but just to go a little bit into detail. Any chain which connects to the relay chain shares in the security of all chains on the network. So what we are doing essentially is outsourcing, offloading verification and finalization of blocks to the relay chain. And the relay chain, it currently has a large percentage, about 55% of all dots in existence are locked for bonding in the relay chain. And so an attack on a parachain would generally require an attack on the relay chain, which has really strong economic security. We also allow interoperability through something called XCMP, cross-chain message passing, which guarantees that a message sent from one parachain or parathread will end up on the other parachain, so that you can use XCMP in order to interact with chains. So this can be things such as moving tokens on parachain A from parachain B, interacting with a smart contract on another parachain, combining these, composing more complicated situations, right? So you may have a transaction that requires you to interact with parachain A, parachain B, and parachain C, and you can do that all in one transaction via XCMP. If you're interested in building a parachain, we provide a toolkit, essentially, a framework called Substrate. So Substrate allows you to build your own blockchain. And if you build it with Parachain using another technology called Cumulus, you can easily connect to the Polkadot relay chain. And what we provide are a bunch of libraries. I can't remember the number exactly right now, but something like 40 or 50 built-in libraries for things such as different types of governance or consensus, democracy, council balances, smart contracts, etc. Simply by importing these different palettes. And there are also several hundred palettes available that others have produced. So Tim had mentioned Kala. They produced several palettes. Many of the other teams that are out there have produced palettes. And if these palettes are basically libraries that you can use in your own blockchain. So if you want to add an Ethereum virtual machine, an EVM, to your blockchain, you can just grab that library, and now you have an EVM on your blockchain. If you want to add voting mechanisms, you just import that library, that palette, and now you have voting on your blockchain. So just like if you're a web developer, you can use something like Django or Ruby on Rails to not have to worry about all the low-level details of how your blockchain works and just focus on developing the rules, what makes your blockchain unique. Just like if you're using Ruby on Rails or Django, you don't have to worry about the details of how to respond to an HTTP request, but rather what makes your website unique. It's a very similar idea. So you may have heard about Kusama. Kusama is the canary network for Polkadot. So this is not a test net. We actually have several other test nets end, but it is a place where new code and new features are tried out before moving to Polkadot. So this is a very new idea, but basically it adds one extra step before you get to the quote unquote main net, right, of Polkadot. So we try things out in Polkadot, we then move them onto Kusama, and if things work out there, then we can move those features to Polkadot. And this means that you may see some issues with Kusama, right? A lot of other projects, they try out their parachains first on Kusama before moving them to Polkadot. Actually, some decide that they only want to stay on Kusama because they like the environment there, the fact that it's always at the cutting edge. But we know that there are potentials for problems, right? Because this is where we're putting code first to try things out. Things happen faster in Kusama, which is we say, its tagline is expect chaos. That there may be some chaos, there may be some problems, there may be things that occur, but the benefit of it is that you get to try things out sooner. So right now we have something like 15 parachains running on Kusama. On Polkadot, we are just starting to roll out these parachains to it. So we're seeing a lot of parachains on Kusama. We'll discuss them a little bit more in depth shortly. So how does one become a parachain? Well, we have auctions. And a common question I get is, why do we have auctions? Why can't everyone just join the network? And the reason is that every parachain costs some computational resources on the relay chain. There is a bounded supply. There's only a limited amount of parachains that can work on the relay chain. But there's potentially unlimited demand. So when you have a lot of demand and less supply, common economics teaches us that the best way to figure out what's the best use for the limited supply that we have is to hold an auction. So we have auctions that currently occur in batches. In Polkadot, we're having these occur in sets of 5, and then a period where we evaluate the network. Parity engineers evaluate the network and double check that everything seems healthy before more auctions are added. On Kusama, we actually have a batch of 5 auctions, and then 1 week to analyze, and then another 5, 1 week off, another 5 indefinitely. So every 6 weeks, 5 parachains can be added to Kusama. The goal is for both Polkadot and Kusama to eventually move to a consistent cadence where we just continually have auctions. So that is essentially where we are on Kusama, but with Polkadot, since parachains are just rolling out now, and we tend to do things more slowly, more conservatively, more safely with Polkadot. Right now, we're having these batches of 5, analyze the network until we're sure that we're ready for more, and then add more. Another common question I get about these parachains is, what happens when the slot lease is over? Since when you connect as a parachain, you only have that slot for a certain amount of time. So it's approximately 1 year on Kusama and approximately 2 years on Polkadot. So the question is, what happens at the end of that time? So there are really several potential paths that a parachain can go through when the slot lease is over. So one, it can win another slot auction before its current one is over. So it can win another slot auction and just continue. it can become a parathread, which I mentioned earlier, and this allows you to bid on block inclusion on a per block basis. So a parachain stays connected, a parathread only connects when it pays. So a big difference here is that to become a parachain, you need a very large amount of DOT to win an auction. However, this DOT is returned to you at the end. It's locked for a certain amount of time and comes back. For a parathread, you need a very small amount of DOT to be included in the relay chain. However, this DOT is paid. It's not locked. It's gone once you pay for it. Finally, the third option is that a parachain always has the possibility of going off on its own and becoming what we call a solo chain. So this is a chain that was built with substrate that could be a parachain but does not want to connect to Polkadot. This is perfectly allowed. You can use substrate to develop your own blockchain that never connects to Polkadot if you want to, although you really should make sure you should think about your own security model for that chain, because you are now an independent chain. You no longer have the security of connecting to the relay chain. So there is one exception to these parachains having to win an auction or buying on a per block basis to be connected to the relay chain. There is this idea of common good parachains. So the Polkadot Council, which is itself voted into office by DOT holders, so this is also democratic, can add a parachain which is useful to the network. So for instance, we have one common good parachain on Kusama called StateMine, which allows you to store assets, both non-fungible NFTs and regular fungible tokens in a very efficient way. But we have the same one being prepared to onboard to Polkadot called State Mint. But there is the possibility for other ones. In fact, Encointer, which is an identity parachain, has asked to be considered as a common good parachain. I actually just tweeted about this in the Polkadot Digest today. It is currently under consideration by the council. So a common misconception here is that you have to have a parachain slot to run a project on Polkadot, which is not true. So remember, Polkadot is a level 0 chain, which means that it can run many level 1s. Our best estimate right now is about 100 of these parachains. But many projects can run on these parachains. So you can think of an L1 as something like Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche, right? Many projects run on all of these L1 chains, or L2s can run on these L1 chains. So if you're interested in building a project, many projects do not require their own parachain. They're fine with just a smart contract or something similar running on one of these parachains. So it's not that only 100 projects can ever run, it's that 100 different blockchains can run. And we actually have ideas for increasing that number in the future, the farther future. So I just wanted to very briefly go over some of the parachains that currently exist. So remember, Polkadot itself only has one parachain running at the moment, which is a shell parachain. On December 17th, we're going to onboard the first 5 winners of the first Polkadot parachain auctions. But on Kusama, we have several different parachains that are helping to bring this Web3 vision to a reality. I've already mentioned StateMine. You can tell from its ID, since it starts with a 1 and not a 2, it is a common good parachain that stores assets. I've already mentioned that. Karura and Bifrost, along with Calamari and Parallel, are all different kinds of decentralized finance chains. Kala is a a confidential, secret chain, so you can run smart contract confidentially and cryptographically hidden. Shiden is a stars Kusama network version, which allows different kinds of smart contracts to be run. Moon River is an Ethereum compatible smart contract chain. Kilt is a decentralized identity network. Altair is a way of it centrifuges Kusama parachain, and it allows for real world assets to use decentralized finance. Basilisk, another decentralized finance chain. Kintsugi BTC is a bridge to the Bitcoin network, so that you can interact with Bitcoin, send, hold, transfer, etc. On Kusama. So a lot of different possibilities to do things with Kusama, and there are more parachains onboarding all the time. Remember, I said every 6 weeks there are 5 new parachains that can onboard on Kusama. So we have some that are preparing to do so now. So I advise you to check out the ongoing auctions to see what is coming up soon. So this has been a very brief overview of what Polkadot is and what it's doing. I have a few links at the bottom of the screen here if you would like to learn more information. I highly recommend looking at the Polkadot wiki. That's the first link. That's where the technical education team here at Web3 is always adding more information about how Polkadot works, how to do things on it, etc. And as always, I hate to advertise myself too much, but at Bill Laboon on Twitter, I basically only tweet about Polkadot, and every workday I describe what is happening on Polkadot in the last 24 hours. So there's the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing now, and happy to take any questions.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Bill. Yeah, we learned a lot from your presentation. Yeah, actually, you talked about why do we have Webster Foundation, the role that you guys are playing, and we do have a great understanding about Polkadot and the Parachain, and those great projects building on those chains. Yeah, that's very great, and good luck. And we do want to see a really great development with Polkadot and the other chains based on the Polkadot. Yeah, great. Okay, let me share my screen, and we do have 2 questions for you, and we do hope you can answer those 2 questions for us. Okay. Yeah, actually, for the very first one, as you know, yeah, this is very popular. Yeah, we do see Moon River, Moonbeam, and Akala, they race toward the very first slot auction. Yeah, that's really amazing to see. So, and we have seen the slot auction recently, and can you share with us just a bit more? Yeah, just a bit more about that. Yeah, because I think you guys are really excited about that. And like why this slot auction is so important, and what have we achieved so far together, yeah, with the community team. OK， 那接下来的话呢，我会邀请贝尔这边给我们讲一下，就是波卡就是插槽拍卖更多的一些点啊，可以给大家做一个分享，以及目前所取得的一些成果的一些分享。OK, Bill, yeah, now you can answer this question now. Thanks.
Yeah. So first, before I go into depth on this, I'll say we actually have been posting on polkadot.network/blog. We have our economics researcher, Jonas Gerlein, has been posting very in-depth analysis of the slot auctions. And so I recommend reviewing that, because I will obviously only be able to give a very high-level overview with the time we have here. So I think the slot auction is important because it, besides the regular reasons I already discussed about why we need slot auctions, is it shows how much desire there is for people to contribute to these slot auctions. So we have already had on Polkadot, we have had over 8.5% of all DOT that are out there locked up in crowd loans for these auctions. On Kusama, we have over 20% of all KSM in existence have been locked up for parachain slot auctions, or they're in a crowd loan to be locked up in a parachain slot, for a parachain slot. And so, excuse me. So I think we see here that there are a lot of people in the ecosystem that are very interested in participating in slot auctions. They have they're supporting the project that they want. We're seeing some really interesting and involved battles, I guess, between people who want to get a parachain slot. So we're really seeing that a parachain slot is something valuable and that people want, and they're willing to use their DOT and their KSM to get it.
Yeah.
So what have we? So what have we achieved so far? So I already showed you we have quite a few auctions that have already occurred in Kusama, and we have a lot of like very interesting and different chains that I've already discussed. And there are some that have won but have not yet on. They've won an auction but they haven't finished their parachain or not ready yet. That do other things, right? So like BitCountry, which is a metaverse, Genshiro, another DeFi chain. So we see a lot of really interesting parachains coming on, and I think that it's really important for us because we're seeing not just that people want to have parachains on there, but that they want to have a broad variety, a lot of different ones. And so we're seeing a lot of different kinds of parachains coming onto the network.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Yeah, I will do some translation about what you have mentioned just now. Okay,
in sorry Chinese. I spoke so long. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very great. Yeah. 其实刚刚Bill 这边有提到，就是为什么一定要有这样一个插槽拍卖啊？其实我们在刚刚他在讲那个 slide 里面也有提到，对吧？其实波卡这边中继链它所提供的这些安全性啊，这些计算，其实它都是需要去付费去花钱的，对，所以它需要有这样一个插槽拍卖来承担这些资源，对吧？然后另外的话呢，它其实也看像Bill 刚刚有提到。就what do we have achieved so far， 对不对？他就提到就是我们有非常多的一些一些人参与进来这些那个插槽拍卖里面，但是呢，我们与此同时看到一个非常可喜的现象，就是非常多的不同的这些平行链也好，或者是其他的一些项目，可能围绕接下来的一些元宇宙也好，或者 Web3在做的这些平行链项目，他们都在参与进来要去争先去做这样一个插槽拍卖，然后在接下来的话呢，我们也会看到不同的非常多不同的可能类似于现在的可能已经有阿卡拉在做 DeFi， 对吧？我们也会看到其他类似的可能类似链游也好，或者是类似一些其他的关于元宇宙也好的这些平行链也会涌现出来，然后来去参与这些插槽拍卖的部分。Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, we do have another question for you. Actually, the metaverse is really, really hard right now, and we do see Facebook renamed it as Meta. And how do you see about, the metaverse, and how do you, differentiate with Web3? People are got confused. Actually, we still do not know what is Web3, and then we have metaverse now. So yeah, could you just talk a bit more about that? Thank you.
Sure. So this is something that I see as it can be part of Web3, but not necessarily part of Web3. So if you think I have a circle here and a circle here, like metaverse and Web3, there is an intersection. But I could have a Web3 world with no metaverse, or a metaverse world with no Web3. So I see the Web3 world as a place where users own their data, that it's cryptographically secured by them and not stored by someone else, or not controlled by someone else. So I see a metaverse right, as a way of having like your digital assets in a virtual world is not exactly the right meaning, right? It's not exactly the same as virtual reality, but some like digital assets in some virtual world. I feel like there's a better word than world, but yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
I,
understand that. Yeah.
so I think
Okay.
what we're seeing with like companies like like Meta, right? They want to have this virtual world, but not controlled by the individual users. Whereas the if you look at the intersection here of metaverse and Web3, it is a virtual world, right? A shared consensual experience, but in which the individual users own that data. They can take it, they can control it, and this I think is going to be it's almost inevitable that this will be the future, I think, because I think users want to own their data, and it's just that previously we didn't really have the technology to do it. I think blockchain and other decentralizing technologies allow that, and so I see the metaverse as a very important like new step right in what we can do. But I think it's very important for us to continue building in such a way that the data on the metaverse, the information, the items, whatever, can be controlled by the users, and that can be done best with cryptography and other Web3 technologies. And I hope and I really think that this is going to be the way forward, and it will be something that Facebook will or Meta will have to start following because that's what hopefully the users will demand.
Okay, okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I will try to do some, some translation here. Yeah, OK，其实刚刚贝尔这边有提到，其实 Metaverse 和 Web3的话，他们其实可能是两个不同的地方，但是呢，他们中间肯定也是有一些交集的部分的。那其实，在他看来的话呢，Web3肯定最重要的点还是用户掌控我们自己的数据，而不是说有平台或者类似 Meta 或者是 Microsoft 他们来帮我们掌控这些数据的。那其实，在 Metaverse 呢，在他看来的话，它可能是还是我们现在大家所看到一些增强现实的一些场景吧。它可能用一些设备啊，比如说那个 Facebook 的一些设备，或者是其他一些设备，通过这些设备的话呢，我们可以连接一个虚拟现实的世界，然后和不同的人去交流和交互。但在这样一个世界里面的话呢，这些用户的数据啊，到底是属于谁，我们目前还不得而知，对吧？那对于这些类似 Facebook 的公司或者 Meta 这样的公司来讲的话，他们肯定还是希望这些数据是属于他们的，对吧？就像我们现在的这样一个 Web2的这样2.0的这样一个世界一样，对吧？我们的这些数据其实大多数还是不是由我们来掌控的，对。虽然有时候也平台方也是在讲说由我们在掌控，但其实更多的地方其实在掌控在这些平台手中的，而不是说我们用户的手中。那我们再看，其实 Metaverse 和 Web3 的话呢，它其实中间会有一些交互的部分。那这些交互的部分的话，可能我们在未来的话会思考这些部分就是我们真正的能够用户所能掌控的一些数据，然后呢可以去有一些增强现实的一些场景，然后和不同的人去交互，但这些部分也会产生价值。那价值承载的话，我觉得可能也可能有类似 NFT 的东西可以去承载这些部分价值呀，可能大概是这样一种情况。OK。Okay, thank you, Bill. Thank you so much for today. Yeah, actually, we do have so many questions, but I think maybe that's it for today. Yeah. Thank you so much, and wish you good luck, and wish you all the best with Polkadot and Web3. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
OK，好的，那直播间的朋友们，我们今天的活动就先到这里为止。那我们也是非常感谢贝尔这边给我们带来非常精彩的分享。因为大家听完之后呢，对于波卡对 Web3 基金会以及他们所引领的这样一个 Web3 的这样一个发展世界，会有一个比较清晰的这种认知。那园林区呢，继续会在接下来推出一系列的关于 Web3.0先行者的这样一个活动，也是希望大家可以关注我们的平台。然后也希望大家可以推荐一些围绕这些不同的供应链本身的一些非常优质的项目，也可以参与我们的这样一个开放式活动，我们也可以带给更多的人群。Okay, thank you guys so much. I think That's it for today. Yeah, we do thank Bill so much about the update about the Polkadot and Webster Foundation. And later on, we will have a series of Web3 projects featured here on our first community channel. And we do love to feature your projects too if you feel that your project is related to Web3, related to metaverse, and you do care about the people or users' identity and their data. So you are here. Yeah, we do welcome you to be here. OK，thank you guys. I think that's it for today. OK，好的，朋友们，我们今天的活动就到这里为止了，非常感谢大家，我们下期再见，拜拜。